When Mike Carter moved into the Willow Ridge subdivision, he thought he'd found peace at last. After 20 years of long commutes, tight budgets, and raising twins on his own, he finally bought a quiet little house at the end of a cul-de-sac, the kind of home where mornings smelled like coffee and cut grass. Mike wasn't a troublemaker. He was a quiet, practical man, the kind who fixed leaky faucets for his neighbors and waved to everyone he passed. So when he decided to replace his old windows with new, energy-efficient reflective glass, it wasn't to make a statement. It was to save on electricity, keep the house cool in the summer, and protect his kids from the blistering afternoon sun that poured through their bedroom windows. He didn't realize one simple decision would turn him into the HOA's favorite target. The first complaint arrived a week later. "Dear Mr. Carter, your new windows violate HOA Aesthetic Standard 7.4. Reflective glass is prohibited as it creates visual disharmony. Please remove or replace the windows within 10 days to avoid fines." Mike read it twice, then looked at the new windows shining softly in the afternoon light. They weren't mirror-like, just a faint reflection, the kind used everywhere in modern homes. He decided it had to be a mistake, so he emailed the HOA. "Hello, these are standard energy-saving windows. They're not mirrored. Could you please review again?" The response came from Nancy Brewer, the HOA president. "Rules are rules, Mr. Carter. The neighborhood must maintain visual unity. Those windows stand out." Mike sighed. He'd barely been here a month. The HOA escalated quickly. By the next week, he received another letter, this time with a fine attached. $100 for non-compliance. Mike called the number on the notice. Nancy answered, her voice sharp and polished. "Ms. Brewer," he said, "these windows meet state safety codes and city approval. They're not mirrored." "They reflect," she snapped. "That's enough. They distract drivers and ruin the community's tone." Mike tried reasoning. "Would you at least come see them before judging?" She paused. "We already have photographs. Replace them or expect further action." Then she hung up. The neighborhood began to whisper. Within days, rumors spread. Some said his windows blinded people. Others claimed they were illegal. Neighbors who once waved now avoided eye contact. It hurt more than he expected. Mike had just wanted a quiet life for him and his kids, Ethan and Lily. They didn't understand why people were suddenly cold. "Dad," Lily asked one night, "did we do something wrong?" He forced a smile. "No, sweetheart, sometimes people don't understand change." But inside, anger simmered. He'd spent years working double shifts to give his kids this home, and he wasn't about to let a few control-hungry neighbors take it away. The HOA meeting. A month later, Mike attended his first HOA meeting. The hall was filled with stern faces and the low hum of gossip. Nancy stood at the podium, tapping her papers. "Our next agenda item, property at 248 Willow Ridge Lane, reflective window violation." Dozens of eyes turned to him. Mike rose, calm but firm. "These windows are eco-friendly. They save energy, they're safe, and they look fine." Nancy crossed her arms. "They're disruptive. Several residents have complained of glare." He nodded. "I understand concerns, but has anyone actually measured the reflection?" "I did. It's less reflective than a car windshield." Silence filled the room. Then an elderly man muttered, "Rules exist for a reason." Nancy smiled tightly. "The board will vote to uphold the fine." They did, unanimously. Mike left without a word. But that night, sitting under the faint glow of his porch light, he made a promise to himself. He wouldn't take those windows down, not ever. The summer came. The heat grew unbearable that July. While other houses baked in the afternoon sun, Mike stayed cool and quiet. The reflective glass shimmered faintly, bouncing sunlight back into the sky. It was peaceful, until the day everything changed. The fire. It was a Sunday afternoon. The air was still and hot. Mike was inside fixing lunch when he heard a faint scream. He froze, listening. Then he heard it again, a child's voice, distant, panicked. He ran outside. At the house across the street, the Patterson home, smoke curled from an upstairs window. Flames flickered behind the glass. "Help, my son's inside," Mrs. Patterson screamed, standing in the yard. Mike sprinted toward her. "Where is he?" "Second floor, bedroom," she cried. Without thinking, Mike grabbed the nearest garden hose, doused himself with water, and ran toward the door, but it was locked tight from the heat. He looked up, and that's when he saw it. Through his reflective windows, sunlight had bounced directly onto the Patterson house. The glare shimmered against the smoke, bright enough to catch his eye from inside his kitchen. If not for that reflection, he never would have noticed the fire so soon. He smashed a side window, crawled inside through the smoke, and found the boy, no older than 8, coughing under a desk. He wrapped the child in a blanket and pulled him out just before firefighters arrived. The boy survived. Minor burns, mild smoke inhalation, nothing more. The news spread quickly. By evening, the whole street buzzed with disbelief. Neighbors watched as ambulances drove away, the little boy safe in his mother's arms. Reporters showed up the next morning. The story ran under the headline, "Local dad saves neighbor's child, fire spotted thanks to mirrored windows." The article mentioned how the reflective glass had alerted Mike to the blaze before anyone else noticed. Without it, the boy would have been trapped. Suddenly, the same windows that ruined community harmony were being called life-saving. The HOA tried to stay quiet. Nancy Brewer didn't return calls for days. But by midweek, she called Mike personally. "Mr. Carter," she began, her voice softer than usual. "The board reviewed the situation. We're rescinding all fines related to your windows." Mike paused. "You mean the ones that saved a kid's life?" "Yes," she said tightly. "We'd also like to discuss updating the community guidelines to allow." He cut her off gently. "You do whatever you want, Nancy, but I'm keeping my windows." She didn't argue. A month later, the Pattersons hosted a small cookout to thank him. Neighbors who once avoided him now brought food, shaking his hand, apologizing for believing rumors. Even Nancy showed up, awkward, smiling too much. She presented him with a plaque in appreciation for heroism and community spirit. He accepted it, not for pride, but because he knew what it meant. The light had changed more than one thing that day. It had changed hearts. The twist. That winter, the HOA quietly amended its rules. Reflective glass was now permitted for energy efficiency and safety purposes. Mike never said, "I told you so." He didn't need to. Every afternoon, when the sun hit his windows, a soft golden glow reflected across the street, landing right on the Patterson home. And sometimes, if you stood there just right, you could see a faint reflection of a little boy waving back. The morals. Sometimes the things people criticize most are the very things that will save them. Rules can't measure the value of light or the heart of the person who brings it.